Hey friends, Tracy Eldridge here. Are you surprised to see me with the public safety group? If not, then you must have known that for the last 10 years, I have been teaching for Tony and the public safety group, and I have a few classes that I love to share with folks. And the reason why I'm here today is to let you all know that in 2021, I will have the opportunity to teach more with Tony, which I'm wicked excited about. But I will also be launching a new class. And that new class is called When High Profile Calls Have Even Higher Impacts. We know that there are calls that hit the media and get all kinds of publicity, whether it's good, bad, ugly, but it happens. And when that happens, there are usually a lot of lessons that are learned throughout the process of those particular incidents or calls. So just don't worry, this is not a class that is going to focus on what a telecommunicator did wrong in a situation. It's to more focus on the things where things could have gone right. So we're going to look at things a little bit differently. We're going to talk about Carrie Hunt and Carrie's Law. We're going to talk about Kyle Plush and the Kyle Plush Answer the Call Foundation. We're going to talk about Chanel Anderson's call. We know that that call happened quite a while ago. However, there are some very valuable lessons and new technology advancements that came out as a result of that particular call. So again, new class, it's launching in 2021. We already have a bunch of them booked, so I'm really excited about that. The other thing that folks may not realize is there's two other classes that I teach with Tony, and the first one is called How to Save a Life, Yours. Now, as many of you know, I am huge on mental health and wellness and just making a telecommunicator's life easier, better, whatever the case may be. But this class was written almost 10 years ago, and the purpose of it was to share with telecommunicators the unhealthy habits that we have. I will always say we, because even though I'm not in the center anymore, my heart will always be in that chair. You know, I like to say I may not be saving the lives from the chair, but I sure can help save the lives in them. And then the other class that I teach for the public safety group is called 911 Hacked, Attacked, and Where's That? And there are a ton of topics that we talk about. We go back to basics. We go back to the alley screen and talking about how to find the company ID 24/7 phone number if you should need it in the middle of a call. We talk about all the new ways that 911 calls are going to be coming in from different types of devices, whether it's an Apple Watch or, you know, some random, refrigerators connect to the internet, right? So the Internet of Things is allowing 911 to look a little bit differently. So that's one part of the topic. The other part is the hacked and attacked part. So not only are we going to talk about the where's that with, yes, some location stuff. Many of you know that's a huge passion of mine. But the where's that piece is more on where is the call coming from. So have you ever had a call that came from Northern 911 in Canada? Like, why'd it go there? How'd it get there? I like to refer to them as the land of the misfit 911 calls. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. And many folks don't understand that. So I'd like to say thank you to our Canadian friends for taking the calls that for whatever reason can't get to us here in the United States. We talk about swatting. We talk about ransomware. We talk about virtual kidnapping calls. We talk about telematics. And the where's that piece is crisis text line. When somebody from Crisis Text Line calls you and says, hey, I have somebody that's in imminent danger, you're like, where are you calling from? So being able to better prepare yourselves for situations that are new today is really important. And I'm really excited to be able to do more of these classes across the US. Tony and I have worked together for many years. Not only is he a friend, he was a friend first, then became a mentor, and then my boss, if you will. But I'd like to share a little story about a conversation that Tony and I had. Back in 2012, Massachusetts mandated that emergency medical dispatch was to be done on all 911 calls when appropriate. So every medical call. And at that time, I had rolled out my EMD program, and I was almost hyper focused on EMD, if you will. And I wanted to make sure the program was right. I wanted to make sure that my dispatchers were trained correctly. And I was in my center one morning, and my dispatcher had to step out of the room for a minute. And we were a single dispatch center, so I covered for her when she ran out of the room. And of course, 911 rings. And on the other side of the phone, there is a very soft-spoken, calm woman that says, "My husband just shot himself." And while I was caught off guard because we didn't have a lot of calls like this, I went through the motions and I verified the address. I dispatched police to a self-inflicted gunshot wound. I dispatched fire to stage for a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So I thought I'm doing everything right, but then everything changed. The woman on the call was begging me to help her save him. And I went right into EMD. I told her to go to him. Is he conscious? Is he breathing normally? And then I started to kind of stumble because I was torn between, moving him because it could be a crime scene. And so all of these things were going through my head. And let me make a valid point. This was about 12, 13 years into my career. So you would have thought I would have had it together by then, right? But there are calls that hit us that we might not act the way that we normally will. And when I got off that call, my telecommunicator said, "Phew, I am so glad you picked up the phone. You did an amazing job." And from the outside, yeah, maybe it did look like I did a great job. But I immediately got up from the chair and I went out to the parking lot. And I remember walking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I called Tony. And Tony says, "Hello." And I said, "Tony, I messed up." And he said, "Did anyone die?" And I said, "Yeah." And he, without missing a beat, said, "Did you do it?" And I said, "No, but the potential was there." So we started talking about the grave mistake that I made on that call. After I dispatched my personnel and she was begging me to help him, I never asked her where the gun was. I never asked her if she felt safe going to him after he just shot himself. Not knowing the condition of the patient, I put my caller at risk. And that weighed really heavy on me. And that's how I handled my career. If I made a mistake, I would beat myself up. And Tony knew I was beating myself up. And he said something to me that day. He said, "It's not the mistake you make, it's what you learn from it." And I took that with my training career and I ran with it. And then we were joking a little bit and he said, "Well, if you feel so bad about it, why don't you go write yourself up?" And I walked back in the door and I wrote myself up. And when I put it up on the board, I put one in my file and one on the board from my telecommunicators to sign off on my mistake. And one of my dispatchers said, "Why are you doing that? Like, you're the boss." She says, "Aren't you being a little hard on yourself?" And I said, "No, actually, because I don't think any one of my telecommunicators would have came up to me, tapped me on the shoulder and said, 'Hey, I want to talk about that call you just took.'" The moral of that little story right there is it doesn't matter how long you've been in this profession. Sometimes you need to be brought back. You need to be brought back to the time where you actively listened on every call. You need to be brought back to the place where you were healthy in your mind and in your body so you can make sure that you are doing the best you can every day when you walk in that door. Nobody has a choice when they call 911. They can't call 912. They can't call 910. It's 911. So you need to ask yourself, whenever you walk through that door and you sit down and you put on that headset, am I the person I want to get if I had to call 911? So with that, I am really excited to be able to roll out the new class, continue teaching the ones that I have for years. So don't forget to check it out. I want you to visit the Public Safety Group's website. Make sure that you check out Tony's session here at the Be the Difference conference. I'm so excited that I get to just sit back and absorb the massive amounts of education that is being delivered over these 3 days. So for now, my friends, stay safe, stay strong, and stay here. We need you.